against Bruno Vizzuti. It's a steamy, sultry night here in Atlanta, Georgia, but we're inside at the Peachtree Weston Plaza, where it is nice and cool, but will be heating up shortly as PKA action gets underway here tonight on ESPN. Hello, everyone. This is Tim Brando, and joined, as always, by John Worley. And tonight in our feature bout, are we looking at a tune-up bout for Jerry Rome?
Well, Jerry Rome is fighting, I think, with maybe that in the back of his mind. This may be a tune-up bout. He's looking ahead to Brad Hefton. For a long time, Jerry Rome wanted to have other fights to get ready. He thinks he's about there now, and I think Hefton is looking at him. He's here tonight to watch this fight. I think he's looking forward to that thing with Rome coming up very shortly.
Jerry Rome is obviously a guy that can do just about what he wants when he wants.
Rome is a very talented fighter. He was out of the ring for a long time, and he did something that very few athletes have been able to do successfully. He's made a comeback after 6 years, and that's really something very rare.
All right, and the European champion, we find Bruno Vizzuti, a guy we know very little about. What we do know, though, is that he will have a 30-pound weight advantage against Rome.
Well, he's the super heavyweight champ of Europe, and historically European fighters have not been as good as the American and North American fighters. But with 30 pounds on Jerry Rome, that makes the thing pretty even, I would think. So I'm looking forward to Rome really going out and taking this fight very seriously. He's going to have to go out and do some hard stuff to stop a guy that outweighs him 30 pounds.
PKA karate is still really in the embryonic stage, but certainly tonight we'll also focus in on the forerunners of PKA karate. It will be a blast from the past. In 1975, Joe Corley met Bill Superfoot Wallace. They meet again tonight. Here's what they think about the matchup.
Since this is the first time that I've been in the ring in 8 years, the butterflies, of course, are just tremendous, but the training schedule has been phenomenal, and getting back in the ring with Bill Wallace this time is truly going to be a pleasure.
There are a few unanswered questions the last time we fought back in 1975. No ropes, a knockdown into the round, some other discrepancies. Tonight, we'll clear the air.
These guys know a great deal about one another, and they really have seen this sport come full circle.
Well, they really have. I think probably these two men, more so than any other two in the sport, have been responsible for the growth. Joe Corley from a management, administrative level, Bill Wallace from the image of the whole sport. He's been that image for 10 years. And, you know, this thing started out to be kind of a lark, I think. Yeah. You know, a 10-year little anniversary get together. And all of a sudden, they started training hard, and one guy said something, the other guy said something, and now they both have a funny look in their eye. I think they're going to go out and go hard.
We'll have some young novices. We'll also have the great pros from the past. All of that and more coming up tonight from Atlanta, Georgia at the Peachtree Weston Plaza. Stay with us. Coming up now, a bout that we've all looked forward to, and perhaps no more so than the two competitors here at the Weston Peachtree Plaza in Atlanta, Georgia. Tim Brando and John Worley with you, and we could extol the virtues of our combatants for a long, long time in Joe Corley and Bill Superfoot Wallace, and that's what we're about to see.
Well, I've been looking forward to this fight now for 10 years. You know, ever since the first one. I was here in 1975 for the first Wallace-Corley fight, and here we are 10 years after the fact, and they still want to do it again.
The amazing thing is we know how many the Omni would seat, and they said the crowd was up around 12,000 that night, close to that. I've talked to at least 15,000 today that were at that fight.
It seems that way. It seems like everyone that is here tonight, even people that are 6 years old, said, I was there for that first one 10 years ago.
We should mention that our youth here in Atlanta and the youth in the Professional Karate Association that have been following this sport, that are now at these schools, they look upon Joe Corley and Bill Superfoot Wallace as legends. And they are living legends in the PKA.
They really are. Bill Wallace, I think, from the standpoint of the actual karate practitioner, as Wallace comes into the ring, Wallace is a guy that just everybody loves, and he loves everybody. He's never been a guy that was too big to go out and talk to the fans, and I mean, people really do think an awful lot of this guy, and he's going to be around forever.
And there's Gentleman Joe Corley.
Nobody in the sport has ever done as much to push the growth of professional karate as that man right there. He really, I think every fighter in this country owes him a debt of gratitude.
We should mention that Corley's not been in the ring since 1977. He decided to take the administrative angle with the PKA and help the sport that way. He has obviously done his job well as we look at the crowd here tonight and the purse coming up for future title bouts. Bill Superfoot Wallace, as we see the confrontation sheet there, Wallace against Corley, 3 rounds, a middleweight exhibition. Bill Superfoot Wallace at 40 years of age, retired as a champion. He never lost a bout.
Bill Wallace is unique in this sport in that he had 23 wins. He won the title on his very first fight in the early days, and then he defended it 22 times.
And now the announcement of our 2 fighters coming officially from ring announcer Larry Black.
Ladies and gentlemen, this bout is the first in PKA history. It is the rematch of the PKA's first world title defense, which took place here in Atlanta 10 years ago in 1975. And now we're in the Westin Peachtree Plaza Hotel Ballroom. Introducing first, in the red corner, the man who was then the challenger and number 6 world contender. He is 38 years old, stands 5 feet 10 inches tall, and weighed in at 163 pounds. This is his first ring appearance since 1977. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome please, Gentleman Joe Corley. Joe Corley. And his opponent in the blue corner, a living karate legend. He was the only original PKA world champion to retire undefeated, leaving the ring in 1980 with an unblemished record of 23 wins and no losses. He is 40 years old, stands 5 feet 10 inches tall, and weighed in at 165 pounds. Ladies and gentlemen, from Los Angeles, Bill Superfoot Wallace. The referee for this historic bout, from Jacksonville, Florida, Bill Clark.
Obviously, you both know the rules. I just want you to listen to my commands. If I say break, keep your hands up, but stop punching, stop kicking. Both understand? As long as you don't hold each other, put your head on each other, I'll let you fight. Step back, bow, have a great fight.
Our judges, side, Dave Harris.
There's
Don
Bill
Willis,
Superfoot
and
Wallace,
John
world champion from 74 to 80 and never relinquished his title. Gentleman Joe Corley, a world contender back in 75. Some might think because these two guys are such friends that they decided for laughs to do this, but we both know otherwise, don't we?
Well, actually, Bill Wallace, I think, started out that way because he's done a tremendous number of exhibitions, and they're always a lot of fun. But Joe is not a guy that wants to get out there and, do any messing around. That's just not in his personality. So I think they decided at some point, let's go ahead and just fight. That's what they're doing.
Oh, and the two of them will smile one another throughout the bout. It's an interesting set of circumstances, really, because you know the two of them, they're a little clowning around right there. At times, you know the two of them will have some fun with one another, but in the midst of the battle, they're going to mean business.
Well, Wallace almost threw a hip throw on Joe at one point there, and then he let him loose. Wallace has a background in wrestling and judo as well as karate, and so he's very, very skillful in all aspects of self-defense.
Yeah, a good left hand from Wallace that time.
Corley trying to sweep Wallace, and Wallace has got his stance turned pretty much straight on. It's making it hard for it to happen for him.
Really, Bill Superfoot Wallace is the prototype body of PKA karate, isn't he?
Well, he's got that real strong upper body, as he just landed a good hard right hand on Corley.
And down goes Corley.
Oh, he just got it. Hard left hook to the solar plexus.
A good left hand. He's up on the count of 9. Just seconds remaining here in the first round.
Wallace is just very, very strong, and he just landed, really uncorked a strong left hook into Corley's solar plexus. And Corley went down.
Corley got away. And so now Joe Corley goes back realizing that he took quite a blow from Bill Wallace.
If anybody had any doubts as to whether or not these guys were going to go out here and patty cake, that left hook certainly did answer any question in my mind. You see Wallace just stalking in with the left jab, throws the right hand. There's the left hook. Corley had his elbows up high. Corley worried about the left leg, getting those hands up to cover any kicking, and Wallace just dug in that solid left hook. Wallace standing up between rounds. You know, it's impressive that after 10 years, these guys weighed in exactly at the same weight that they did in 1975.
Well, they decided to go ahead and perform this exhibition at the Battle of Atlanta, which was a long time ago, and Corley immediately went on a big diet, decided to work his way back into shape. He's taken off probably in the neighborhood of 15 pounds or so in preparation for this bout.
Says he's healthier and feels better than he has since he last fought 8 years ago, so if nothing else, it's been a real good thing for him physically.
Second round, we're scheduled for 3. Corley went down 6 times when the two met in 75, but remember, back then, when you went down, the round would end, and then they'd start over again. So the rules have changed since 75 in the PKA.
Had some rather strange rules back in those days.
Well, the direction of the sport had not yet been spawned at that time, had it, John?
No, not at all. The sport was so young. There were actually no ropes in those days. We fought on platforms. Had a lot of guys go off into the crowd. As Corley takes another left hook.
Down to his knee. Hey, Joe needed some time to get his breath, and that's the only reason why he went down to his knee. An 8 count and comes back up.
Well, Wallace said that one thing that he didn't have when he and Joe fought the first time was a left hook. And he's over the years, he's developed a real strong left hook, and he's showing it to us now.
Good left-right combination from Wallace, but Corley fighting his way free. I'll tell you this, Joe Corley wants to hang around for round number 3.
Oh, he really does. He's got a tremendous amount of pride. He told me in training that he still has problems with those kicks, that he still has to worry about that left leg, and he, I think, has probably concentrated so hard on trying to deal with Wallace's kicks that he's forgotten about the left hook.
Well, he did throw a side kick in there that grazed the chin of Wallace, but beyond that, Wallace still stalking his opponent. We come down to the end of the second round, and Joe Corley throws a glancing blow that connects. It's getting more competitive between these two living legends in the PKA.
Round number 2, 1 round remaining. Let's hear it for these guys.
We're going to see now Wallace moving in. just steps inside with that left round kick, throws a left hook to the body and another one. And Joe says, well, I'll stand here, Don. I think I'll just go right on down here and take a short break. Best lunging punch there of the fight for Wallace. A good left hook. For Joe Corley, excuse me. A good left hook that lands right on Wallace's chin.
And Superfoot ran right into it, didn't he?
Yeah, he kind of juked left when he should have juked right.
Perhaps a candidate for Grecian formula. Bill Superfoot Wallace. Joe Corley, though, but I tell you this. In the case of Bill Wallace, we do have a man that is testimony to life begins at 40, don't we?
Oh, he's just in great shape, Wallace is. And Joe Corley at 38 is in no bad shape himself.
How do you have it scored at this point, John?
Well, I've got Wallace up 20-17 after 2 rounds. Corley trying to make a fight of it here in this last round. Came across pretty strong, but he's had trouble with the front leg and the left hook all night.
You mentioned he wanted to stay away from the Superfoot. He's done a good job of that. He's dodged those kicks from Wallace. As you mentioned, Wallace has made good use, though, of going to the body with punches, both left and right.
Corley's really been trying a lot of sweeps, but he really hasn't much luck with them.
Ooh, a good right hand by Corley on the chin of Wallace.
Corley's best round certainly here in the third. He's trading out solid punches and throwing some good right hands at Bill Wallace.
Remember, Corley is 38 years old. Wallace, 48. I beg your pardon, 40. I just put 8 more years on Wallace. What I obviously had in mind was that for 40 years of age, he's fighting like a true champion of 25 or 30. He really does have the fighting body of a 25 or 27-year-old, doesn't he?
I think Wallace deep down inside thinks I can still beat these guys in a round. I think he really believes that. I don't know if he will let himself come back. I don't think he will.
Oh, a great left hand. Right on the chin of Corley. Joe Corley went down in the first round. Took a brief respite in the second. But he's been toe-to-toe here in the third.
Nice round kick that staggered Joe Corley.
Wallace wants to put him down at the end of the round. And we're running out of time.
Good toe-to-toe action.
What a great moment for this sport, though. That's what it's all about right there. Two men that gave their all to the sport of PKA. And years from now, many will remember that it was those two that got PKA where it was and is. Decision is forthcoming here in Atlanta. This exhibition between these two greats in PKA, and with the decision now here again is ring announcer Larry Black.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the decision of this 3-round historical bout. Judge Willis scores the fight 30-27. Judge Sawyer scores the fight 30-26. Judge Harris scores the fight 30-27. A unanimous decision for the still undefeated Bill Superfoot Wallace.
We get those defense tips and the power stretch tips from Bill Wallace and Joe Corley every week, and tonight they performed their best for us. Up in the ring right now is John Worley with the two combatants, right, John?
Joe, I'm sure it didn't come out exactly like you had planned, but you said you were having trouble in training with the kicks. You seem to handle the kicks pretty well.
Well, I tell you, if I were a karate poet, what you saw tonight was my ode to mortality. And 3 months ago, I decided to get in the ring with the best all-around contact fighter in the history of the world. I saw him go in and win 22 more times after he beat me the first time. People told me I was crazy to do it. I agreed with him every step of the way, but as I said earlier, it's a tremendous honor just to have had the opportunity.
I think really it speaks very, very highly for you and for Bill Wallace, and really for all the people in karate that still train at age 40 and 45 and 50 and can keep themselves in this kind of condition.
Well, you know, Wallace, like you say, he is my senior. He's 40 years old. You can tell it really slowed him down quite a bit. The key for him is that he is and I say this to him in all good humor, Bill Wallace is a throwback to the Neanderthal period. Everything he eats turns into solid muscle. Everything he does works out perfectly. He can speak an incomplete sentence. Everybody understands it perfectly. He's a man. Everything he touches turns to gold.
Let's talk about this guy for just a second.
Do it again in about 5 minutes.
How about in 10 years? Can we go ahead and sign for that fight now?
Sure, I don't see why we can't have a 21. Joe's going to be in good shape.
I've got something planned that year.
Okay, we'll do it. We'll make it an 11-year one. Okay. I just want to say that he can talk about my Neanderthalness and my everything else, but I underestimated Joe. I couldn't believe it. He got in this good a shape this soon to put up that good of a fight, and I mean, my heart goes out to him, and I'm sure he did a great job. I mean, surprise. Hit me with a couple punches, and I said, excuse me.
Let me ask you something. You said coming into this fight that he has not seen my left hook. I didn't have a left hook 10 years ago.
I know. He didn't see it today either, did he? No, it's just, 10 years ago in June, I didn't have a left hook. I had a Sunday haymaker ridge hand. And since that time, I've been working with some boxers and learned how to throw a decent left hook. And kind of worked a little bit today.
Let me ask either one of you, we're going to do this again, or are you going to do it with anybody else?
I'd love to do it. I'd love to do it with anybody. Hell, I'm 40 years old, and I feel great.
I think you should make a living doing it. As I said earlier in the week to Karen Rosen here of the Atlanta paper, my body was aching out for the ease of the announcer position.
Well, they say that Wallace says, yes, he's going to do it again. Joe says that's it for him. Well, I guess we'll have to see, Tim, what comes in the future.
Well, I'll tell you this, John, it's no piece of cake over here in the booth. All right, that'll do it. Joe Corley, as well as Bill Superfoot Wallace, gave it their all, and I know I was proud to be here just to watch it. We'll return right after this.